Hello everyone and welcome to the Everton show. We've got another international break of course this week, so there's no Premier League game for us to look ahead to, but given the events at Stamford Bridge last weekend, that may or may not be a bad thing. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and although you have to say that Chelsea were very good, it was undoubtedly a bad day at the office for the Toffees. It was just a disaster.
Yes, I think it's probably not a bad word to use, Darren. Right from minute one, we weren't at the races. It's as simple as that. We can't afford to play like we did against the likes of Chelsea, a top four side. So, we were punished. It was hard to accept. It was hard to watch. But we go away for the international break. Hopefully everybody forgets about it a little bit and we come back stronger.
Let's hope it was no more than a blip. We'll have more reaction from the Diamond later in part one of this week's show, and we've also got contributions from this lot.
Yeah, I'm with them all the time through the week, so it feels like I'm becoming part of it, just now getting game time, which I've got a bit today, but hopefully I can get some more and help the team out.
Get in, Bobby Chan, just told you in behind. Told you, shot on goal beats any Scottish keeper.
How does Dutch culture differ to English culture?
Bigger beers, pints.
For Yannick Bolasie, it's outside kicks with the ball and then inside kicks without a ball. The Everton player seemed to relish meeting young karate stars at this inner-city charity in Liverpool.
Oh yeah, well, the Everton fans know what they're talking about. They can spot a decent player or a decent manager when they see one. But it's a fickle business. We all know that. It's a tough, competitive game.
Right, we're not going to shy away from an awful result at Chelsea last Saturday. It wouldn't be right. We'll get more thoughts and opinions from Graham in a bit. But first, let's hear the typically honest appraisal of Ronald Koeman.
I think it was already difficult from the start in the game, but we had good defending. And yes, of course, after the second goal, question of confidence. But they showed us today a big lesson. In every aspect of football, they showed us high quality and totally deserved, and we need to accept it. Difficult and disappointed, but it's only 3 points. But of course, I did not expect this difference, what we saw on the pitch today.
They are a good side, aren't they? They do pass the ball very well.
Yeah, it's a difficult system. They play out of a difficult system to play against. And you see that makes the problems, the movements of Hazard create a lot of problems in our defending, and of course the quality on the ball, but also the way how they press, how they play aggressively was much better than we showed today.
It was clearly a game from which it was just about impossible to take any positives, but the late introduction and subsequent assured performance from Tom Davies was another indication of the teenager's massive potential. His third substitute appearance of the season ended in defeat, but there was certainly no blame attached to him, even though he couldn't hide his disappointment after the game.
Yeah, they're a good team, and we haven't played the best, but they've done very well, so it's a hard one to take, but got to move on for them.
They just seemed to take all their chances that came their way, didn't they?
Yeah, they're a good team, and that's what you'd expect, so there's not much we can do now, but just move on to the next game.
What did the manager say to you, Tom, before you went on?
He just said go out there and go and play, really. There's not much you can do, so just try and keep it together.
There's obviously no way we're back into the game for Everton, so I suppose it was just a little bit of a chance for you to try and enjoy it anyway.
Yeah, felt like there wasn't as much pressure, obviously, because of the scoreline, but still don't want to concede or make it any worse, so it was a hard one to come on to, but I tried my best, and I think I worked hard.
3-0 at half-time, it's effectively game over, isn't it, against Chelsea away from home?
Yeah, that's basically how the game went, really. 3-0, we can't get back into it. They're at home, keeping the ball well. There's nothing really you can do there.
You're obviously absolutely gutted at the result, Tom. How long does a result like this linger? How long will it last?
Well, it'll last till the next game, really, I think. Obviously, it'll be all right in training, but I don't think it's fully gone until you get that next win, get the next result. So we'll work hard next week. Obviously, there's a few internationals, but then we'll be back ready for Swansea.
Is it a bit frustrating that we have got an international break? Because by the look of you, you'd rather get out there tomorrow and try and put it right.
Yeah, definitely, but I think it might be a good break to get away from it, forget about it, play with your international teams, come back and be ready to go again.
Are you feeling really a part of the first team setup now?
Yeah, I'm with them all the time through the week, so it feels like I'm becoming part of it. Just now getting game time, which I've got a bit today, but hopefully I can get some more and help the team out.
Just got to look back at this and say, one of those days we go again. Bad day at the office.
Yeah, definitely, but as long as we learn from it, then it's a hard one to take, but you just got to learn and just get on for the next game.
Right, let's move away now from the club scene to the international stage. By the time the 7 o'clock edition of this week's Everton show is over, you'll doubtless be ready for the England-Scotland game at Wembley. Well, we've got our own preparation to show you now as Graham Sharp and Ian Snowden sit down to select their best ever Scotland and England teams. And to add an Anglo-Scottish competitive edge, we also asked our club partner Football Manager to play the game out on a virtual pitch.
Yeah, I'm confident. I'm always confident when England play Scotland. And so, yeah, I've picked a team that I think will win the game.
The front six that I picked for Scotland will cause problems. You know, likes of Dennis Law, Kenny Dalglish, Jimmy Johnson, you know, give us a flair. And then we want a little bit of steel. You've got Dave Mackay-Grahamson is certainly looking at the front six that I've got. You know, I think we can cause England problems. My midfield is my strongest line-up that I possibly could have had. I'm going to play with an out-and-out winger as well in Sir Stanley Matthews. I'm hoping he'll get at the Scotland defence and create things for Shearer and Bobby Charlton. Bring the game on. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, one touch.
What is that? Oh! Get in, Bobby Charlton. Just told him behind. Told you, shot on goal beats any Scottish keeper.
I'll tell Andy Gorham that. Danny McGreen overlapping full back, that's it. You're in. You're in. Oh, he missed it.
Put it wide, who was it?
Ah. I'm going to make a substitution. And it's going to be a difficult one, but I've got to get somebody. Paul McStay in midfield for Billy Bremner. Oh, what a ball! Back heel. He's not Jim. Go on, he's in. Yeah, get in, Jim Baxter. What a stop!
Can't believe we've been caught on the back post like that.
No, defend.
Oh, what a header! Bobby Moore as well. That's the first time I've sent him up. That I usually leave him at the back. But I said
that's the first time he's ever been up.
I said, Bobby, just get yourself forward for this one.
That's a poor goal for us.
Gascoigne's liable to find you out.
He's marking him.
Toying with you, Sharp. Oh, finish. Oh, it's there.
Oh, this is loaded
Matthews,
wrong way
just
here.
before I was going to bring him off as well, Sharpie. Just before I would bring him off after 69 minutes. I was looking at 70 minutes for him, but I'm going to bring Emily Hughes on as an holding midfield player, just in front of the back four, and I'm going to bring Stanley Matthews off, who scored the goal, who's put us 3-1 up, but I just think he was looking a little bit tired, but I'm going to bring Emily Hughes on for him now.
You're getting excited, you're getting excited because you're just passing the ball sideways.
We're playing the clock down. Keep the ball, boys. That's it.
Disappointment. I didn't think we got the rub of the green. I thought the referee was poor. Some of the decisions he gave England were typical. It's what we've come to expect.
I said that to him before the game. I said, look, just play it round them. They'll be chasing shadows at times. If you just keep it moving, keep it free.
Oh, dear. No, I tell you what, I'd rather go and watch Scotland week in, week out rather than England. That was dull. Ah, well, Snod, it'll change Friday.
Thank you very much, Sharpie. Another Scottish defeat.
Snod's England beat Sharpie's Scotland 3-1. Are you expecting more or less the same in the real thing at Wembley?
I'd like to think England are going to win, that's for certain. But you never count your chickens with England these days, do you? So, no, I would like to think, with it being at Wembley as well, we should comfortably win that game, Des.
Home advantage doesn't always count against the Scots, does it? Because they normally bring more fans than the home team.
Well, they do. I mean, they're going to enjoy the night, that's for certain. They'll enjoy the day, I'm sure. But as long as everybody behaves themselves and we have a good game.
It should be a decent game. England against Scotland. The main issue, of course, as always, is that each and every Everton player on international duty this week returns to Finch Farm fit and available for our next Premier League game with Swansea City a week on Saturday. We're taking a short break right now. When we come back, we'll feature our under-23s in action and we'll hear from a forgotten man, Tyias Browning. Welcome back to part 2. Earlier this week, Everton's inaugural participation in the Checkatrade trophy came to a penalty shootout end at Goodison Park. On a dreadful night weather-wise, the under-23 stood toe-to-toe with an experienced Blackpool side, but ultimately bowed out in the cruelest of ways.
Everton under-23s were eliminated from the Checkatrade trophy after they were edged 5-4 on penalties by Blackpool at Goodison Park on Tuesday night. In normal time, the Tangerines opened the scoring in stunning circumstances through Armand Nandwale. But the young Blues responded, and Harry Charsley rounded off a fine move with a firm finish past Sam Slocum. (1-1) at full time, meaning it was straight to penalties. Both sides were on target with their first 4 spot kicks, with Darren Gibson and David Hennen among the Blues' successful takers. Joseph Yanni sent the 5th over the bar. That left Nangwale to send Blackpool into the knockout stages of the competition. Disappointment for the young Blues, but coach David Unsworth took positives from the performance.
Disappointed to go out on penalties, but the display was a lot better than the other night, I can assure you. And it was a great reaction from the lads who were left here, who've not been on international duty. So we're delighted with the performance. Great characters to come back and perform the way we did in the second half, and thoroughly deserved, to get the equaliser. Just didn't threaten the goal enough for my liking tonight. Didn't offer enough in the final third, but in terms of the way we went about it, the way we responded, and the overall performance, I'm happy with. And the penalties it's just unfortunate.
Graham, both you and I were at Goodison to see the under-23s play Blackpool. I was in the dugout working the tannoy. You were in an executive box. Enjoying yourself.
I was sat outside the executive box, actually, getting wet like everybody else.
It was a dreadful night, wasn't it?
It was a horrendous night. I mean, the best place to be was actually on the pitch, and we were unfortunate, the lads. I mean, there was a spell in that second half where Blackpool just took a little bit more control and looked the more composed side, a little bit more know-how about them. But certainly the young players, they never gave up. Going a goal down was a disappointment. But young Harry Charsley, you've got to give him a lot of credit, because he looked the most likely on the night to score a goal from midfield. And, David said up front, we perhaps lacked a little bit of punch. But young Harry scored a fantastic goal, great first touch and a really composed finish. Got us back in the game, but unfortunately time ran out, and there's always going to be a villain of the piece, and unfortunately young Joseph missed his penalty, which was unfortunate, but he'll bounce back.
Harry Charsley certainly knows where the back of the net is, doesn't he? Now, although he was disappointed to lose the game, we can perhaps forgive Tyias Browning for concentrating just as much on his own match fitness as the final result. Tyias hasn't featured in the first team squad for just over a year now, but he's on his way back. He got another 45 minutes against Blackpool, and he's looking now to simply keep pushing forward.
Yeah, obviously a bit stiff, but it's nice to get some minutes. It's been a while, so just unfortunate we couldn't get the result.
Yeah, another 45 minutes last Friday as well. How's the knee feeling after those 2 outings?
Yeah, it feels good. I've had a lot of help from the club. Rehab went well, so just about getting the minutes in now.
It's been almost a year out. How frustrating has that time been for you?
Yeah, it's probably one of the toughest parts of my career, even though it's only just beginning. But it's nice to get all the hard work out the way and just to get playing here now.
How far off do you think you are now at full match fitness?
I'm not too sure yet. I've got a lot of games with the 23s to play. A lot to catch up on, and just take it one step at a time.
And what's Unzi had to say to you in these past few weeks as you make your full return?
He's quite cautious with me at the minute, obviously, because it's been so long. But he's just happy for me to be back, and he wants me to push on.
I know you've been in the first team training as well. How much have you enjoyed that?
Yeah, it's nice to be back with the lads as well and joining in, and they were all happy for me, but I just need to push on.
Obviously a new manager to impress new coaching staff. Have you found working with those so far?
Yeah, they've been quite challenging and quite tough and very high standards, so I've got a lot to work on and a lot to prove to them.
Has the manager said anything to you specifically about your defensive work and fitness?
Not yet. I've only played obviously two 45 minutes, but it's up to me to show them and take the opportunities.
Some strong competition now in defence, obviously Jags, Ashley Williams, Ramiro Funes Mori. Must be your hope now to really start pushing those lads by the end of the season.
Yeah. I'm obviously learning a lot from them and they're helping me out a lot. But obviously I've got to try and push them and obviously try and challenge for their place. But obviously they are helping me along the way.
What are your targets now then for the rest of the season now?
I just want to get playing week in, week out, and whether that's for the 23s, whether it's pushing for the first team, but I just want to get playing again because it's been a while.
Tyias has just got to take his time, hasn't he?
He has. I mean, he was out for just over a year, I believe, and that's a long time to be out of football. So nice to see him get 45 minutes against Norwich on the Friday, and then another 45 minutes against Blackpool earlier on in the week, and that's what he needs, just to steadily build his fitness back up again. And I'm sure the coaching staff and all the medical staff will, be keeping a close eye on Tyias, because the last thing he needs is a setback after such a long period of time out.
He's a good kid and we wish him well. Right, we're bringing you a nice little touch of nostalgia to round off part 2. Tom Gardner sadly passed away last week at the age of 93. He'd been Everton Football Club's oldest surviving first-team player, and we've unearthed a lovely interview we did with Tom a couple of years ago. He may only have played one game for his beloved Toffees, but he always, quite rightly, remained very proud to be a Blue.
Look at that, Eileen. Beautiful, isn't it? Hey? Absolutely beautiful. There's two things that are absolutely the finest thing that ever happened to me. The first one is getting married to Eileen. And the second one is when I went to Everton. When I first went there, to think that I was walking into Goodison Park as an Everton player, I was just absolutely over the moon. Something that I dreamed of from when I was a little boy. I loved playing for them, and to walk out onto that field was just an unbelievable feeling. Something that I don't think I will ever get that feeling again, let's put it that way. And to put that blue shirt on, amazing, absolutely amazing. Just pulling that shirt over my head and thinking to myself, this has made me an Everton player. It's great. When we went up to the Umbro thing at Goodison there, I was sitting down and I saw Martinez, and the next thing, Roberto came over, sat down, shook hands with me, said, "Hiya, Tom, I believe you're our oldest player." And I said, "Yes." And well, very, very nice to meet you. We had a little chat about different things, and then when it was ready to go home, the manager came over to me on his way out and said, "Nice to meet you, Tom. Speak to you again sometime. Give my love to your wife." And that was something I thought to myself, that is what Everton's football club is all about. And it made my day.
What a lovely man, Tom Gardner. I enjoyed his company on several occasions. He played once for Everton, Graham, back in 1947 against Wolves, who included Billy Wright, but he played in an Everton side with Harry Catterick, T.G. Jones, Wally Fielding, and it clearly, quite rightly, meant so much to him all these years later.
Of course, I mean, you can see that in his face. I mean, his eyes lit up when he talks about Everton, doesn't he? I mean, just to have the shirt near him, he was absolutely ecstatic. As you say, a really pleasure to have met him. A lovely, lovely, engaging man, and very, very sad to hear that he's gone, but, a true Evertonian.
I met him a couple of times at the Everton Former Players Foundation Christmas lunch. We've got that coming up next month, and it's a fabulous occasion, isn't it?
They are good occasions, yeah. I mean, you know, you just forget how many fantastic ex-players we've got at this football club, and you know, they all come along, and you know, it's packed out. It's a really good atmosphere in and around the place, and everybody relaxes, enjoys themselves, has a few bottles of Chang along the way, and no, it's a really nice do, and you know, Tom's been to them as well, and he'd have had a lot of happy memories.
Not the same though without Kingy and Howard.
I know, it's sad, isn't it? I mean, you look back on it, and unfortunately, we've lost a good few famous Evertonians over the last few years, and it's sad when you look back at it. But you know, life comes to an end at some point, doesn't it? But they've all given us, you know, terrific memories, and they'll be remembered certainly at the Christmas do. That's for certain.
That's why the Former Players Lunch is so important, isn't it?
Of course it is as well. Yeah, it's a chance for everybody to come together. You know, younger ones, older ones, everybody sits down, has a nice bite to eat and reminisces a lot. It's a really terrific afternoon. I'm looking forward to this year's one.
It is a lovely, lovely occasion, and Tom Gardner was a lovely man and thoroughly enjoyable company. Our thoughts are with his wife Eileen and all his family and friends at this sad time. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the big interview section of the Everton Show. We've got one of our Around the Table features for you this week. 3 Dutchmen followed Ronald Koeman to Everton during the summer, his brother Erwin, the Southampton fitness coach Jan Kluitenburg, and the Feyenoord goalkeeping coach Patrick Lodewijks. All 3 men are, I can assure you, thoroughly engaging company, and I can also confirm that they've all embraced Everton Football Club.
I thought I was working at a big club in Holland, but this is even a much more bigger club than we are used to Holland standards. So when you work here, the facilities are much better to work with the guys, with the analysts, with all the people who are around the team. You see that this is much bigger.
Jan, Erwin, what's Patrick brought to the coaching setup?
I know Patrick for a long time, so we know, and I know his qualities. We play together in the same team. I manage him as well in Feyenoord. But he is he's a guy who enjoys his work. He's already a long time involved in coaching goalkeepers. The last 2 years we had Dave Watson, and this year is Patrick. He's a totally different guy, but it's good to see it from both ways. And Patrick is doing a fantastic job, and I think he gives the goalies a lot of confidence. What we see till now with Maarten Stekelenburg and also with Joel. And for me, a goalkeeper is a very important person in the team, because if you have a bad keeper, you don't get points.
Tell us a bit about your journey, Jan. You had a spell as a referee. Tell us all about that.
It's a little bit a special story. I played till I was 18, and I had always problems with my ankles. But my problem was always I talked too much against referees, a lot of red cards. So my father said, you have to do it in a youth team, and then we will talk about that. And my first moment as a beginning referee, there was somebody from the Dutch Football Association. And in a couple of years I was in the league. So for me it was nice to do, because football is always my life. Referee is a different part, but I talked a lot with the players. You know, I make mistakes, but the players make mistakes, and that's what I liked always. Unfortunately, the people in the board in Holland said always you have to give more red or more yellow, and you talk too much. So I said I do it on my way, but not on your way. And finally, at the end, during that period, I specialized myself in the work what I'm doing now. So the last period when I was referee, I trained them also. And finally, after that, I said, no, that is not my world.
Patrick, Erwin, did Jan ever referee any games that you were involved in?
No. He will never do.
Yeah. With Feyenoord, one time in a training session. Yeah, we were supposed to play 2 times 45 minutes, but after 1 hour we had to go in, because there was they were fighting on the pitch. And,
How does Dutch culture differ to English culture?
1 hour difference. Drive on the left side, pound instead of the euro.
Bigger
In
beers.
Holland.
Yeah, bigger beers, pints.
Yeah.
A lot of difference, but that's nice to involve in another culture. But I have to tell the people are here are open. They like to help us, and that's nice. But to be here, it's good. You see, because the Christmas here is that massive. It's unbelievable. We start Christmas normally the second week of December, but here they start already to go out to have meetings or drinks or dinners in half of November, I think they start already. So that was for me strange to see. But on the other hand, it is also nice.
How did you find it adjusting to so much football over that period of the year? You know, was it different for you? Was it something a bit unusual when you first came over?
No.
Or is it the same in Holland?
You put it in your head, and then you know with Christmas you are not off, but you have to train, you have to play. So, but that's not a problem at all. It's a tradition, and it's a nice tradition. It's a busy period, of course, for the players, for the staff, but we know, and it's already in my mind how the program is around that days. Also on the 30th we play, on the 2nd we play. So, but it's no problem. It's nice, and the days are going fast. So no, but it's no problem at all.
Yeah, is there anything particular you have thought, oh, that's nice, I didn't know that about England, or I didn't know that about Merseyside since you've been here?
I heard it was terrible weather here, so I brought in July, I brought my winter coat already, but it's November and it's still, the sun is shining, so I don't, maybe they made a joke or maybe you're just lucky, but they warned me for the weather, but until now I didn't have my coat on the training pitch.
In Holland, if we like to have something, okay, then the answer is tomorrow, and you have it tomorrow. And here, sometimes, if you have, you call to a consumer service. Well, after 50 minutes, I put my phone down, and and I can tell you, I had a lot of phone calls. No, but that's really a little bit maybe in England in the structure. It will come. In our way, we don't have time. We have to continue.
Is there anything you've tried to bring here to Finch Farm among the culture here in terms of your background and growing up in Holland?
To Finch Farm, what we like is to bring players in a good shape. And the way we are living in Holland and the way we act, it's a little bit what Patrick said. Of course, it's a Dutch stuff and also some influence from Duncan. But it's a little bit the Dutch way on a higher level. And the coaches, they like to play in a special way position game. And I think it's more or less more different and more maybe on another way for the players than for us. So the philosophy is a little bit the philosophy of the coach and the other coaches. So I think it's for us not really a big, what I think it's a big difference.
It's about how we live, how we grow up in Holland. Patrick mentioned already in the beginning, we are open people. And of course, every manager is different. But we like to work together with the people inside Everton. And you have a lot of qualities inside and you have to use them. And we give a lot of responsibility to the staff as well. And they have to take it as well. And if there is something, they can always come to us to talk, to ask questions. And we like to work on that level. And maybe for some it's a little bit different and maybe a little bit difficult. But I think in our view, it has to be like that.
What do you hope to have achieved when you look back on your first year here in England?
To bring the goalkeepers to a good level, stay on a good level, physically, mentally, so that they perform well, to give at the moments they are needed, that we bring the points. You cannot do it on your own, but to have after this year have a good result as a team, and I hope that the goalies are having a good part in that performance at the end of the year.
It's nice if you get European football, of course, but it's a long way. But there's a big competition between the clubs. Normally you have the six biggest clubs. After that, you have a lot of clubs with Everton, and you need a little bit luck as well. And I think the most important thing for us is to perform stable, and that's the most difficult thing in sport and in football as well. So we have to work very hard. We have to do more. We have to do more to finally high on the table, finishing high on the table. But I think the first 3-4 months, okay, we're doing well, but we can do much better than this, and we have to do, because again, the competition here in England is so tough. It's not like in the other countries. It is in England. It's that tough competition, and that make the competition fantastic here in England.
I said before that piece of film, Graham, that they're all thoroughly engaging company, and you know from experience that that's absolutely right.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I've really enjoyed Erwin's company. I mean, Jan's a terrific guy. I'd had a round of golf with Jan as well. Patrick, I haven't seen so much of, but clearly from that interview, you know, an engaging character, as you say. But all three of them got Everton in their hearts now. As a player, how important is it for you to come into training every day and see that the coaches are enjoying being there? Well, of course, it's vitally important. I mean, you know, Jan's a stickler for time, so he wants to make sure everything's running perfectly. You know, Erwin's quite a relaxed character. You know, he's more of a chilled out man. I think Erwin, he's a lovely man. And Patrick, obviously, you know, looks after the goalkeeper, so he's got a special bond with the boys there. Erwin was a good player. We mustn't forget that. He played for Holland. Of course, he was a terrific player. I mean, obviously, Ronald being Ronald probably overshadowed Erwin a little bit, but not in a man sense. He's a great lad. And that's it for the third section of this week's programme. In part 4, we'll bring you Yannick Bolassi's Everton in the Community visit to a Kicks programme in Toxteth, and we'll hear from 2 former Barcelona players, Gary Lineker and, of course, Ronald Koeman. We've reached the fourth and final segment of this week's show, and we're starting it in the Toxteth district of the city. Everton in the Community run a very successful Kicks programme here in Liverpool, and we took Yannick Bolassi along recently to join in.
For Yannick Bolassi, it's outside kicks with the ball and then inside kicks without a ball. The Everton player seemed to relish meeting young karate stars at this inner-city charity in Liverpool, one of 17 kick schemes in the city funded by the Premier League. But he remembers it was football in his early days that changed his life.
It's an honour to come down and put a smile on these kids' faces, because I was at this stage as well at one point in my life. So to come here and then meet a Premiership player, it's incredible. It's a sport that everyone enjoys, and the likes of these kids, you know, to keep them off the street and come and play football, it's incredible, and I'm happy that the Premier League have actually put in a scheme like this for these kids.
It's the 10th anniversary of the Premier League's Kicks campaign, and hundreds of youngsters sign up for these sessions every week.
I like coming here because it's amazing.
I like coming here because it's fun and exercise.
I like coming here because I like to play football. I go to the gym. These kids are from in this area of where we are, it's Toxteth. We put sessions on here. I think we're in this Toxteth Firefit nearly every day. So when they're with us, it's less stuff they can get into. So that's our aim, to make sure we know what they're doing. So we don't want them getting in trouble, for instance, say, anything on the streets.
But it wasn't just the footballers who enjoyed the Everton wingers' visit. Bolassi's participation could increase the numbers attending the karate classes.
It was brilliant, and his reaction to the session as well, I'm made up. He wants to do more of it. So that's something brilliant for me. He's actually boosted, everyone's coming trying to look through the door. He's boosted the session. I can't wait to see the numbers now after that.
Whatever their Premier League team, the scheme welcomes youngsters to enjoy the beautiful game, scoring goals and just dreaming of perhaps one day themselves being a Premier League player.
Yannick Bolasie, Graham, is clearly somebody else who's embraced Everton both on and off the field, and I remember speaking to Andy Johnson, who told me he would. Let's speak about him on the field. Is there a bit more to come from Yannick?
Well, I think there's a lot more to come from Yannick, no doubt about it. I mean, he's a very powerful, strong player. I'm sure he's going to look to add more goals to his tally. got off the mark at Burnley, obviously, earlier on in the season. But Yannick's the kind of guy that I believe can win games of football, can create plenty of chances, score more goals, and I think that's what we're going to have to look for, from Yannick in the future.
Is he going to be a typical winger, someone who excites and infuriates in just about equal measures?
Is that a dig at us wingers, Daz, by the way? No, I mean, I think, I wouldn't say typical is a phrase to use about Yannick. I mean, he's a bit off the cuff, Yannick, isn't he? You don't quite know what you're going to get from him. So, I mean, he's a good player, Yannick. It's as simple as that, and he'll be keen to impress. You can clearly see that he's enjoying his time at Everton, both on and off the pitch. And it's important that, he grasps, Everton in the community. We're all very, very strong about that. And again, it's a sign that one of the first team lads is more than happy to go down and endorse everything that we do here.
What I like about Yannick as well, he was desperate to get his first goal, which he did when he took it off Romelu's toes at Burnley, but he loves providing assists as well.
Yeah, I mean, so he should as a winger. That's what your job's there to do. Get the ball down the line, whip crosses in. I mean, we've seen some of the crosses he's put in the box so far this season have been top quality. We've got to make sure we're on the end of them. He's got to keep doing it on a consistent basis. Simple as that.
I'm sure he will do. Top guy, Yannick Bolasie. Right, mention 1985-86 to Evertonians of a certain age, and you're likely to get one of three responses. It was when they did the double. It was the season of that awful kit. Or quite simply, it was the Lineker season. We were close but not close enough in 85-86, and the man who scored 40 goals for Everton in his one and only season at the club was invited to Finch Farm earlier this week to spend some time in the company of the Blues boss Ronald Koeman. This is Gary Lineker.
Well, I've come along to see Ronald Koeman to interview him for the Premier League show, which will go out on Wednesday the 16th. So yeah, be nice to have a good chat with him.
Are you looking forward to that, finding out a bit more about his personality?
Yeah, very much so. Obviously, I've met Ronald a couple of times, worked with him on a couple of Champions League games with BT. So, I know he's a good guy. He's a football person. He was a great player as well, by the way. So it'd be good to talk to him.
Just looking at about in the summer when he got the job here, and you tweeted straight away to say it was an excellent appointment. What made you have that impression?
Well, I think he's just very tactically astute. He's also a strong personality, which I think is important, especially in this day and age. And he'll automatically get respect because of, he's a fabulous footballer who's had a successful managerial career, and he'd done a really good job at Southampton under difficult circumstances. So I thought it was a good appointment. He got off to a great start. Obviously, the results haven't been quite as brilliant over the last few weeks, but you can see he's making progress. It's early days, and I think he'll do a really good job here.
You obviously cross paths with all the Premier League managers. Do you like his straight talking approach?
Oh yeah, I think he always gives honest assessments of his team's performances and the opposition's performances, and I think he knows and he understands that he's dealing with a pretty educated footballing audience in this country, so you can't kind of kid them along a little bit. So, he is straight, he is honest, and he's one of those managers that, he doesn't blame referees too often. He'll criticise himself on occasions if he thinks he gets it wrong. And I think honesty is a good thing in management, and as long as you get strike the balance right, I suppose.
And the Everton fans have already shown appreciation towards that.
Oh yeah, well, the Everton fans know what they're talking about. They can spot a decent player, a decent manager when they see one. But it's a fickle business. We all know that. It's a tough, competitive game. It's hard being a manager. 1 minute they love you, the next minute they hate you. Everyone thinks they can do the job better than you. It's one of the reasons that I tend to stand in front of cameras and things rather than try and do it myself. It's so tough, so demanding, and the expectancy levels nowadays are absurd at times.
Always interesting to hear from Gary Lineker, Graham. But let's just talk about the Everton team. Where do we go from here? Is it a good time to have an international break?
I think it probably was, because sometimes when you got such a crushing defeat like we had at Stamford Bridge, it can be a little bit depressing around the place for a few days, and perhaps it's not such a bad thing that everybody gets away from each other, same old voices and faces all the time. It's not such a bad thing. We're always panic-stricken that no one, the injuries come along as well. So hopefully everybody comes back. But, it gives everybody, fans, ourselves, the management, the players, just a time to reflect and step back away from it and not be quite as seething as perhaps we would be on a Monday morning.
This is where you need your big characters, isn't it?
Of course
Players
it is,
who'll
yeah.
sit in the dressing room and maybe point the finger.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any problem with, you know, anybody accepting blame for what happened on Saturday. I think it was a collective thing more than anything. But again, it's a chance to, you know, when they get back, to work hard in that build-up to the Swansea game, get back on track. Let's not be, you know, make too much of it. We had a good result against West Ham. Let's get back on track against Swansea.
Treat it as a blip. By the way, we didn't just get 2 minutes with Gary Lineker. We sat down with him for much longer than that. Don't miss next week's show for an in-depth Gary Lineker big interview. Right, it's time for the last word on this week's programme, and while we've not got a Premier League fixture to assess, we'll still let Ronald Koeman sign us off. The boss is enjoying working with young Tom Davies at the moment, and he sees the boy as being very much a part of the first team picture.
He's developing good. I think it's always difficult for young players. I think they need to know that we are really believe in our young players. But sometimes you need to be a little bit more patient. They know, and of course they know after they're making debut, they know really the level, what you need to be to compete against these kind of clubs like Chelsea. It's very difficult. And it was a very good experience, and that helps him to improve and to be a better young player. And finally, the manager will take the best ones, and that's always the story about young players.
Do you see with Tom him having an important role in the next few weeks, the next month or two, considering at the time of the season now where suspensions are kicking in and players are picking up injuries as we enter the winter months?
But we, you know, we have a strong squad. Of course, it's also about players suspended, injuries, and he's one of the midfield players. And I believe in young players, and if he don't play for the first team, he needs to play in under 23, because young players need really every weekend a game to improve and to learn about mistakes, and that's important. And the rest of the week in the training sessions, being a part of the first squad is the next step for him.
So he's learning simply by training with the first team squad every week, as well as he is playing football matches.
That training sessions is important for him, because competed against the first team players, competed about the intensity of the Premier League is important to get that rhythm when you start as a young player, and that's all the support what we like to give to Tom, but also to the rest of the young players.
That was the boss there speaking from Finch Farm, where he did a host of media interviews as part of his backing for the anti-smoking campaign called Kick It With Help. And that rounds off another jam-packed programme from myself and the Diamond. Enjoy your international break. Keep a close eye on all the Blues in action around the globe, and do please join us in 7 days' time for another Everton show.